Alright, so my number 7 on the list is going to be the Porsche Macan. This MSRP is for $50,900, and so it's not that expensive considering it's a Porsche, but still, you can actually get them used now for under $25,000.
That is awesome!
That is less than a Honda CR-V or a Toyota RAV4 for a serious performance SUV. Powering this beast is a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, 248 horsepower, 273 pound-feet of torque, sent to all 4 wheels through Porsche's legendary PDK transmission. And for anybody not familiar with that transmission, that is essentially the benchmark for all other transmissions out there. When the new Ford Mustang just recently came out in 2018, they compared it to Porsche's PDK transmissions. That is the one to beat, really. 0 to 60 time for the Macan comes in at 6.3 seconds, and of course, with it wearing the Porsche crest, it represents a brilliant racing history, and of course it does look like a Porsche just in SUV form, so instantly people are going to think this Macan is well more expensive than what you possibly would get it for. Number 6 on my list is going to be the C7 Chevy Corvette, and so this includes years from 2014 to 2019, originally MSRPing, I should say, a starting price of $55,900 because, of course, with options, they were well known to go up well above that. Used, you can now get them from $30,000, right around that $30,000 mark, which is great. That's actually less than what I paid for my Ford Mustang GT, so that is brilliant. Powering this thing is a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8, 460 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque, sent to the rear wheels, sending you to 60 in approximately 3.7 seconds. This is a great looking legendary sports car. Of course, the C8 looks even better, of course, in my opinion at least. I think everyone will agree. I cannot wait for the C8 Corvette prices to drop, but for now, that C7 Corvette for $30,000, when you have the Z06 going for over $100,000, definitely a steal at $30,000, and people are going to think that is a very expensive car. And so number 5 on my list being the Chrysler 300. Although it's not as exciting as some of the other cars on the list, it's not going to trick any car enthusiast either, but it does look kind of like a Bentley or Rolls-Royce, or perhaps both of them having a baby perhaps. So the Chrysler 300 is priced at $29,470. However, you can find them now used for around $3,000 or really under $3,000. And yes, they're not known for being the most reliable vehicles in the world. Powering the 300 is going to be a 3.6-liter naturally aspirated V6 is the base engine, of course, 292 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 approximately 6.3 seconds, top speed 155 miles per hour, sent to the rear wheels approximately 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Though it's pretty impressive considering the size of this boat. Really, it's a boat. And again, for car enthusiasts, this isn't going to trick anybody, but for somebody not into cars, that front end looks straight up like a Bentley, without a doubt. Number 4 on my list is going to be the new Genesis G70. And so again, for car enthusiasts, you know about this car already, but interesting thing is the front end, or really the whole vehicle itself, is designed like a very upscale car, and really it is. But yet it's almost cheap or inexpensive for what it really is. And so part of that design language is due in part because the former head designer for Bentley is now the lead designer for Genesis. And so this Genesis G70 is priced from $35,450, essentially a top-end Honda Accord, really. It was first introduced as a 2019 model, and you can now get them used already at just a flat $30,000 if you wanted to. So a couple different engine configurations for the G70. There is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that is going to put out 252 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. There's also a 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6 that is going to be, of course, a little bit more expensive and kind of defeat the purpose of this video, but it's there for you if you wanted it. But overall, again, the designer worked for Bentley, and the logo looks a lot like Bentley. Maybe he had some influence in that, but overall, the G70 is still a relatively inexpensive luxury car that looks a lot more expensive than it actually is. Number 3 on my list is an easy one. This is going to be the Maserati Ghibli. Starting price coming in at $70,990 and one of the most depreciated cars out there in history, I feel like. You can now get these used for around $20,000 and even under $20,000. A Maserati Ghibli. It's an amazing looking car. The badge itself gives you an indication right off the bat. It is an expensive car. Unless you get it pre-owned, of course. And we all know the elephant in the room when it comes to any Maserati really is going to be maintenance costs. For example, just about all of the engines found in any Maserati vehicle is Ferrari derived. So Ferrari is building engines for Maserati, therefore if something breaks, you are essentially repairing a Ferrari-based engine. For example, in this one, in the Ghibli, it's a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 built in Maranello, Italy, 345 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 time 5.5 seconds with 166 mile per hour top speed. And again, the badge alone says it all. If you can deal with the maintenance cost, you can get in a Maserati for less than $20,000 and a relatively new Maserati Ghibli at that. Then coming in at number 2 on my list, the BMW X1. And obviously any BMW, when people see that badge, they're going to think it is an expensive car regardless of which car it actually is. The X1 is essentially a crossover or a small SUV by BMW. It actually has a starting price kind of like the Genesis G70 coming in at $35,200. You can get one used for around $20,000, even really the price of a Civic now. 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder powers the little beast. 228 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 comes in at 6.6 seconds. Power can be sent to front wheels or all wheels, your option there. You can get actually up to 33 miles per gallon on the X1 as well. So all in all, it's a pretty inexpensive, dare I say cheap SUV by BMW, and still one that is going to look a lot more expensive than you actually end up paying for it. But so now let me get to my number 1 on this list, the Mercedes-Benz A220. And so this is another fun one, kind of like the Genesis G70, kind of like the BMW X1. It's an entry-level vehicle into the luxury world, really. The A220 is relatively new for Mercedes-Benz as well. And the badge alone, once again, is going to fool everybody because they have no idea if this is an expensive car or an inexpensive car, because if you slap on an AMG badge on this A series, then you can do that. You're up to $50,000 already, not including any of the millions of options I feel like Mercedes-Benz always offers. And overall, this particular car is a smart move by Mercedes-Benz because once you're in it, next car you're thinking maybe you want to upgrade to a C-Class or at least a CLA. But nonetheless, starting price on the A220 is $32,800 for a brand new Mercedes-Benz. That's crazy. And you can already find them used for around $25,000 or less. Powering the A220 is a 2-liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder, 188 horsepower, 221 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds, sent to the front wheels, getting up to 35 miles per gallon in a Mercedes on the highway. That is pretty crazy, you guys. And again, those numbers themselves aren't really too incredibly impressive, honestly. You can get a Honda Civic that'll hit 60 in less than that, but again, it is a luxury car with a Mercedes-Benz badge, so when you're driving down the road, people aren't going to know that you spent $25,000 on this Mercedes-Benz. They're going to think you spent closer to at least $40,000 or $45,000, and that is why the Mercedes-Benz A220 is number 1 on my list.